Can you use IRA money to invest in real estate? It's a really good question. I've done it with millions of dollars, and today I'm going to share with you your 3 options of what you can do with turning an IRA into real estate.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
You know, the world is changing so rapidly right now, and I look at the advice that I was given financially, right? It was go to college and then go work for somebody else and then do that for 40 years. And my dad, who was a hardworking entrepreneur, convinced me, son, that is going to be the best option for you. But you know what? So much has changed in such a short period of time that I think a lot of that advice now is bad. And it's no different than the advice that we have on IRAs and 401ks. We have a financial world that supports us putting our money into these retirement accounts. And the question is, are you really doing the math to find out whether it will amount to what you need? The sad truth and the sad reality is that it is not enough. So that's when people start clicking on videos like this and saying there's got to be some alternatives, right? So let's start with the basics. IRA, it's an individual retirement account. It's you basically saying, and what most people do is, I'm going to give money to some fiduciary or some financial planner. I'm going to put money in an IRA, an individual retirement account, and this is my hard-earned cash where I've trained my time for dollars and I want to put it to work. And IRAs are normally held in like the stock market or some kind of mutual fund, which means that they're usually pulling 3, 4, 5, 6%. And with a 3% inflation, it means that you're earning next to nothing. It feels like diddly squat. That's what the report says that you get in the mail. Your account is diddly squat on its growth, right? You watch this video and you say, okay, Kris, what are my options? Today I'm going to give you 3 options on what you can do with an IRA. I want you to understand though that there are 2 types of IRAs in general. The first one is, it has to do with whether you pay taxes on the money or not. So if you take your money and you're like, I want to cut down on taxes, this is what financial planners sell you on, then you put it in an IRA and you haven't paid taxes on it yet. What you're doing is you're deferring those taxes. And many retirement accounts allow you the ability to do that. But if you put it into like a Roth IRA, you're saying, oh, I'm going to pay all my taxes up front, and now I'm going to put it into an IRA, and I'm going to try to grow it in the stock market with post-tax dollars. While those are 2 different ways of setting up your IRA, regardless of whichever one you have, or maybe you're watching this video because you're wondering whether you should, what I want to do is I want to help you understand 3 things that you can do with that IRA. The first thing that you can do if you want to invest that in real estate is that you can do what is called a self-directed IRA. Now you can self-direct a Roth, you can self-direct a normal IRA, a SEP IRA. And when you self-direct it, what you're basically saying is, I am pulling you out of the market and I'm in control. I want to decide what I want to do with this money. Now, if you put it into a self-directed account, you have basically the option of, you can put it into paid off real estate, which if you think about it, that's a really sucky point of leverage. You're not using a bank, you're not using any point of leverage. You're basically saying, here's a $100,000 house, I'm going to buy it cash with my IRA. It'll be owned by my self-directed account. It's an option, you could do that. But you know what? If I hate the way an IRA account grows, I'm not a huge fan of how paid off real estate grows. Paid off is what you do when you're ready to retire money. And remember, you're trying to grow your money. So if you're not ready to retire it, then you shouldn't be buying paid off stuff with it. That's your thinking that comes from fear and scarcity that says that there's security in having no debt. They're striving so hard to get out of debt, and here's what they don't realize. They don't realize that having no debt, you can't retire on that. You still have needs. You still need to eat food, and you can't eat your bricks. You can't eat no debt. You actually need an income source. A higher level of security is to actually have a cash machine producing a residual income. Hence why you're probably looking at real estate. So you can put it into a self-directed account. Another option that you have is you can actually liquidate your IRA. If you liquidate it, don't you know that you're going to have to pay 10% in penalties? This is why I think our retirement accounts are such an incredible sham. You want me to pay 10% on my money because I no longer want to use your investment system? And what it does is it scares people into thinking 10% is so bad, I'm never going to take it out. It was your choice to put it in. This is the cost to get it out. Hence, I call that a cost of business. And you know what? There are steeper prices to pay. If I'm doing 25% a year on my money in real estate, do you think I care about my 10% penalty? No. I'm not going to keep it in this fear-based model for that reason. Number 2, if you haven't paid taxes on your IRA yet because it's not a Roth, then you're also going to have to pay taxes. This is where people really get blown away and they're like, wait a second, Kris, are you telling me that if I pull out a large sum of money, and let's say that I have to pay 20% taxes on that and 10% penalty, you're saying that in that example, that 30% is what I'm gonna have to flush? No, I'm gonna keep it in my IRA. I'm gonna keep it doing things that don't serve me. I'm gonna keep it in places that don't work for me, because that sounds like too steep of a price. The real steep price to pay is the price of doing nothing. That right there, my friend, is a huge, huge risk. So you've got a couple of options. You can self-direct and buy paid off real estate. Technically, there is something called a non-recourse loan, but I hardly bring it up because I've hardly found a bank that can actually provide non-recourse loans. They claim, but they can't fulfill. So bottom line is self-directed usually means buy it paid off. Liquidate means eat the taxes, and that's just a steep price, which is why before I share with you the third option, I want you to understand that if you're considering or have recently started an IRA, I would cancel that. Whatever tax benefits they're claiming, they're not worth it, because it's not your money anymore. It's tied up, and your only option is the market. And right now the market's it's not a good place to be. And basically, if you want to be in the market, that's a 30-year strategy. So this is where you get into option number 3. Option number 3 is what I call do nothing. And then I'm going to compare this to all what real estate can do for you. But if you do nothing, you're basically saying, I'll keep it in an IRA. And if you're doing that, you got to ask yourself, what's your earning power for the next decade or 2 decades, or how many more years are you going to work? How much more are you going to actually put in there? And then I want you to pull out your calculator or go tap on the shoulder of a smart, nerdy person that knows how to use a financial calculator and say, hey, if I keep growing at 5% and I keep adding X amount, what will the future value of this money be in 19 years? And you know what? I'm telling you right now, that number, it's abysmal. It's not a number that you're going to be happy with, which is why all of a sudden this option, and especially this option, aren't that bad. Now I'm going to tell you right now that of all of these options, do you know which one is my personal favorite? It's clearly not that. And I don't believe in the lack of leverage when you're starting to build wealth in real estate. So guess what? This is Christmas. Get your money out of the market and start getting your money put to work. It'll be like ripping off a Band-Aid at first with your penalties and with your taxes, but now you finally have your money that you can put to work and actually have it doing something for you. If you had to take a 30% hit on your IRA, theoretically here, but you were producing 20 or 30% in real estate on just the leveraged portion, which meant that the overall amount might be closer to 100%, guess what? You can afford that. That's not that bad. And after the first year, you've played catch up, and guess what you get to do now? You get to actually build and grow and get yourself somewhere where you want to go. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that a number of people that watch this channel will actually reach out to me in one of the links below and say, Kris, even if I pull my money out of the market, I'm a little bit scared. Like, what am I going to do? I'm used to actually having them have my money and I let them manage it. If I pull it out, all of a sudden I have a new job. I've got to put my money to work. What am I going to do? And you have a number of options. One, in the link below, you just copy my book. Get my book and let me share with you how you take that money and grow it to your first $1 million on your own. Do it yourself style, right? But the other thing is there's a link below if you want to learn about partnering with me. I select a small group of people on a regular basis that I actually partner with in a one-on-one relationship. We put that money in an LLC, and guess what we do with it? We go into the marketplace and I find the very best markets with the highest returns that's based on my track record of 4,000 single-family homes. And I'm telling you, when you watch how that money compounds, that figure is exciting. That is an amount of money. That's a return that can actually get you where you want to go for retirement. So there's another option for you. Doesn't mean that it'll work for me to want to partner with you. It's a vetting process with my team to see if that's a fit. But either get my book or go through that vetting process. And either way, know this. There are options for how you can take that IRA money and put it to work for you right now so that when retirement comes along, you might be able to look in the mirror and say, I'm financially free. Because I've been able to do that. I've been able to help thousands of people do that. And it might be your turn. Friend, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope it was good for you. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Share it with someone else that you know has an IRA and might be wondering, what are my options? Because guess what? When the market tanks and these accounts drop, it's no fun. And of course, if you want to get my book or learn more about partnering, you can find those in the link below. Ring that bell after subscribing. I'll see you on tomorrow's video.